Good morning.
Hello.
Welcome to Real Talk with Lisa Wilson,
Tiffany Cofield,
where we speak fluent sarcasm. So today we want to talk a little bit about buying versus renting. It seems to be a topic of discussion, especially since the rates have gone up a little bit. So I think the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what's your motivation? What motivates you? Some people are really, really driven by numbers, by dollars and cents. You know, what makes sense for one person doesn't always make sense for the next. So are you motivated by money? Is it just about the bottom line? Are you emotionally driven? Or, you know, my wife says we have to buy a house. So you're going to buy a house. I don't know if that's really emotionally driven, but that was the example that came in my head. Are you driven on a more logical plane? I'm not paying somebody else's mortgage. There's a lot of that. We hear that a lot. I'm not a handy guy. I am a handy guy, so I can fix whatever pops up. So buying a house isn't that big a deal. I'd rather do that anyway. Or maybe, don't get all offended on me here, hippy dippy, oh, this house just feels like us. I really like this. I gotta have it. You know, we have met every single type of person out there. And I will say, I walked into a house once and said, oh my God, I have got to have this house. I just love it. And believe me, there was nothing special about the house. It was a feeling I got in the house. So I was that hippy dippy person at one point. And my husband still reminds me to this day how much he hated that house. And that I was wrong. And he was right. Anyway, one of the things that could be very helpful to you is a tool on NerdWallet that actually is a calculator, renting versus owning, and the cost of home ownership. And you're able to plug in the numbers and manipulate it the way you need to. And we'll put all that information in the caption notes for this post. But it can be pretty eye-opening. And you might also be able to find that sweet spot if you do want to think about buying a house. You know, we've sat here today talking about the price of rents and how much they've gone up now to what they are now versus what they were when we moved to the area back in 2009. Same house for the most part, and the difference in rent price for that house. Maybe buying makes more sense for your lifestyle. Maybe you travel a lot. You're not really home to enjoy a house. You just need a place to sleep and cook a quick meal. You don't have time to maintain a house, so why buy a house?
She meant renting, not buying.
Yeah, that's what I meant, what she said. You know, some people will say, I like to pick up the phone if something breaks and just have a landlord
Absolutely
come and fix it. If the roof leaks, I don't have to pay for a new roof. If the heat and air goes.
It's not my headache.
Yeah, there is some comfort in that. I remember renting and the dishwasher went, which isn't a big deal. I got 2 hands in hot water. I can wash dishes, but it's a convenience that we've gotten used to. You know, within 3 days, I had a new dishwasher put in when I called the landlord. So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah. I remember when we first moved into our house, our washing machine went out. The second night we were there and, like, flooded our washroom. And I called the landlord, and it was, like, 10 o'clock at night. And he's like, okay, I'll be there in the morning. Just turn off the water. And within the next day, that night, we had a brand new washing machine.
See? There's an argument for renting versus buying.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have jobs that have brought them here and they don't know how long they're going to stay, so it might not make sense to buy. Or maybe you like being transient and moving around every 5 years, so maybe buying a house doesn't work for you there either. You just don't want to, you know, you have commitment issues.
I was about to say house commitment issues.
Yeah, just commitment issues. So I'm a homeowner. I've been a homeowner for years, bought many homes.
I'm a renter. I'm a chronic renter.
You're a chronic renter. And why do you think that is?
I think like what you touched on, I don't know where I want to stay forever. I have barely finished out leases before I'm moving. You know, like I don't think I've ever renewed a lease twice because I'm always on the go. I'm always moving. Now that I have kids and I'm settled, I like the idea of staying somewhere, but with interest rates the way that we are, when we played with NerdWallet, what I pay for rent versus what I would pay in a mortgage for essentially the same type of house that I'm living in, I'm going to end up paying more in a mortgage. So why would I take on a mortgage when I can just keep on renting and not have to worry about a single thing?
Yeah, and please, there are pros and cons to this too, but
yes.
2.5% interest rate is not normal. It's nowhere near normal. We are more near normal now with the interest rates than we were a year or two ago. So,
I think a huge argument too for buying a home and like generational differences is building generational wealth, right? Mm-hmm. Like you grow up and you learn, you buy a house, you build equity, you keep building all this stuff so that you have something to pass on to your children. Mm-hmm. And now you have a plethora of ways to build generational wealth with all of the options that are out there, that buying a home for me, and I'm just speaking for myself, isn't in my best financial interest.
And it's interesting that you say that, because now I'm thinking about the conversation I had last night with a young man with a family who is thinking of selling their home and living in a camper, minimalizing, simplifying, and it's all in an effort to become more financially stable and more financially independent and grow their personal wealth.
Yes. And I think that in society today, people my age, younger, a little bit older, are looking for the quickest way to make wealth instead of putting in 30 years at a company to hopefully get somewhere in life. We're looking for a quicker way that we can do it, where we're not spending all of our time, all of our effort, all of our energy into just being able to live.
Right. In my generation, we came up with parents and grandparents, grandparents that maybe came over from another country and settled here, and home ownership was the epitome of success. I mean, that was a hallmark of I've made it. Yeah. Home ownership.
For sure.
And my parents as well, they were raised along those guidelines. Got out of college and got married and bought a house. This is the way that we do it. These are the steps. Don't change the steps. Mm-hmm. Go to school, get married, start your family, buy a house. I mean, that's what they did.
Right.
So we saw those things. We weren't maybe necessarily taught those things, but, we learn what we live. So my generation, we won't tell you when that, but let's just say that the baby boomer generation is still that generation that looks at home ownership as a financially freeing way to appear to be successul.
Right.
I mean, we're that generation saying, I'm not paying Joe Blow from Idaho's mortgage payment with my rent check. Pipe breaks, I'm going to fix it. And now we have YouTube, so we can fix anything, right? Yeah, except maybe electrical, Mike. We won't let people touch electrical. So there's a lot of different thinking depending on your generation.
Yeah.
So, I get that too. But what's the right answer?
I think
it's whatever works for you. There is no perfect answer. No. There is no answer. Even if the rates were 2.5%, 3% again, it still might not be the right answer for you. So
I think it's a lot of self-reflecting.
it is.
Speaking with your spouse or your partner.
And you got to get real with it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with renting. So if an agent tells you that you really need to buy, don't listen to them. You need to listen to your gut. You know what's right for you, and you'll know when the time is right to buy a house, if that's what's going to happen. So we hope that you found some value in this, that you had a little fun, you laughed a little, because, we're kind of dorky and weird. But come back again. We'll do some more videos talking about our sponsors, the new sponsors that we've gotten for Project Sunshine, our Jeep ride. Things are coming together, and that's coming up quickly. So we hope you have a great week. The sun's shining today, so I'm riding around with no front doors now because somebody wanted to put their foot out on the pegs. But we hope while you're out there enjoying the sunshine, you remember to beep at the Jeep.